On this, we're joined by Peter Setou, Chief Executive of Vumelana Advisory Fund. A very good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you so very much for joining us here on SABC News.
Good afternoon to you, Flo, and good afternoon to your and good afternoon to your listeners.
Yeah, there's no doubt, sir, that land redistribution or restitution is a major component when it comes to addressing some of the basic human rights that we speak of, those rights that are enshrined in our constitution. Let's talk about these factors that land restitution would directly address. Just on the top of my head, I'm thinking about the fact that people will have access to land where they can build, homes. They'll be able to plant. They'll be able to, get food and from the land. I mean, I'm sure there's many more on those, and perhaps you can talk to us on those.
Thank you, Flo. I think as a starting point, one needs to, reiterate the fact that the struggle for liberation, amongst other things, was for human rights and the restoration of dignity.
Yeah.
And land rights really gives rise to people's dignity. Now, these rights, as you've rightly pointed out, found their expression through the promulgation of the Constitution, in particular the Bill of Rights in the Constitution. Section 25, subsection 5 of the Constitution in particular, enjoins the state that it must, amongst other things, take reasonable legislative and other measures within its available resources to foster conditions which would enable citizens to gain access to land on an equitable basis. Now, as you rightly pointed out, we use land for various purposes. We use land for productive purposes. We use land for, in an urban setting and both rural setting, for accommodation, to build our houses, and also to engage in productive means so that we can basically survive.
Yeah. There are some who may argue, and perhaps you can talk to this, that, the issue of land redistribution or land restitution, as much as you've said, is very much a component that contributes to human dignity, that this is really just sort of lip service when it comes to politicians, when they speak about the issue. It's something that, perhaps they talk about when they're looking for votes, for example, and that it's not necessarily an urgent issue on their agenda to actually address. Is that something you would agree with? Do you believe that it's actually not an urgent issue for those who are able to make those changes, and that perhaps there's an unwillingness?
Well, I think one needs to be fair to government, and policymakers. The reality is that, the promulgations and laws and policies which were meant to support land reform, as it were, have largely contributed to the degree of stability that we continue to witness in South Africa, in a sense that it gave hope to ordinary South Africans that there is a way in which issues of the past or discriminatory practices of the past could be addressed. But having said that, there are still a number of challenges that continue to impact on successful and efficient land reform. A number of studies have been conducted in this regard. And just to mention some of the underlying reasons that have been identified as having an impact on successful land reform. Elite capture of land reform has been identified as a big issue, which people largely ignored under redistribution or poorly supported under restitution. The second point that has always been raised is that the targeting of land reform beneficiaries, assuming that they are a homogeneous group, or rather lumping them together, has often really resulted in unending, conflicts and battles amongst them. Yeah. Thirdly, the lack of effective post-settlement support, and I think this is a big one, including lack of key ingredients required to run restored farms successfully. We've had instances where restored land is no longer productive. So in this regard, effective post-settlement is required. Lack of capacity within government to implement programs. I think this has been raised on a number of occasions, both from a human resource point of view and also from a financial point of view.
The issue of whether or not the land is productive or not, after it's been restored or given back to who it rightly belongs to, why is that irrelevant? If something belongs to me, I can certainly do with it what I want to do. Why is that used as some kind of an excuse when it comes to the issue of redistributing land to where it rightfully should be? I'm just trying to understand as to why this is a relevant issue.
Well, the reality is at a point when our people lost the land, they did not just only lose the land. They lost quite a lot of things, ranging from, the skills to work the land, the finances, and a whole host of other things. Now, if you look at how long this process has taken, you actually get a sense that to really give them land without providing them with the requisite ingredients that are required in the form of the requisite skills so that they can work the land, in the form of access to market, as an example, and also access to finance. I mean, we know that in this country, it's still very much impossible, if not near difficult, for people, particularly in the rural areas, to have access to finance. And it is for this reason that we are advocating a process that says, given the fact that government can't go this alone, and given the fact that it's almost impossible at this stage for our people to gain or rather get access to finance normally, perhaps we should and need to explore the fact that partnering with the private sector, which has access to skills, which has access to credit, which has access to markets, is probably the most expedient way through which we can address the current challenges within the land reform space.
Yeah, this is such an important issue, and I really wish I had a lot more time to discuss it with you, but we'll certainly get you back with us at another stage to talk further on the issue. We appreciate your time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Flo.
All right, you're welcome. Peter Setou, the Chief Executive of the Vumelana Advisory Fund, they're talking to us about land redistribution, restitution on the back of human rights as we commemorate the day, of course.